Awesome. Seems like we have a really great crowd today. So obviously I want to thank everybody for dialing in. Hope you definitely leave it with, learning a lot about this really specific strategy that I use quite a bit for, B2B on Facebook. And honestly, if anybody has any questions, definitely feel free to just, type it in the chat. I'll do my best to, check that out and answer them live. And also, once we get to the end, we will have a full, question, a full, Q&A. Where you can ask me anything about this strategy or really anything else that you might have, specifically about Facebook ads and, how to kind of grow your business with it. So basically, I just want to make sure, can everybody see the slides at this point? Maybe give a thumbs up or anything. I just want to make sure everybody can see. Okay, awesome. So as you know, this is obviously a Facebook ads class. It's presented by, small business webinars. Obviously, I want to thank them for allowing me to host this today. And then my main company is Canby Online. And that's where we do pretty much all the Facebook ad stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually turn off my monitor right now, so that way you can really just concentrate just on the slides. Awesome. So some information about me. I've been doing digital marketing for, almost 20 years. I started at a really young age doing it. I was able to be in charge of marketing for 2 different e-commerce companies. I was really fortunate to be able to work at both of them. One was doing about $25 million a year in annual revenue, and then actually left that one to help a buddy I went to college with start a really well-known one right now, which is really exciting to do that. And then I was VP of SEO marketing for another agency. And then I kind of went out and, started my own thing when I just saw how a lot of them were, set up. So really just try to kind of really not be like a churn and burn type of setup. Really more, it's, we have a handful of clients, really give them, a high level of service. So 2 big successes that I had outside of the one we're going to talk about today was where I helped a kitchen cabinet company sell over $500,000 in revenue on a $14,000 ad spend, all with Facebook ads. And then a membership site, we did just under $200K with a $38,000 ad spend. So it's really like, the sky is the limit. And that's the thing I really want to get at here. Whether you're a B2B, B2C, the sky is the limit when it comes to Facebook ads. It really goes back to, your strategy and then, your targeting. And I'll kind of get into on this next slide, the 3 secrets that I have found that allows somebody to be successful with Facebook ads. So obviously, the number 1 is targeting. You got to make sure that you're targeting the right person at the right time, and you can 100% do that with Facebook ads. And the next one is ad copy. So when you really think about, hey, who am I targeting? You got to make sure that your ad copy is speaking to that person in a way that'll make them want to do what you want them to do, which most of the time is like, hey, just kind of raise your hand and, give me your information so then we could, get you into like some automation of some kind. And then the final one, once when you kind of get that person to say, hey, yes, I'm interested, what are you doing with it? Are you sending them to a landing page? Are you entering them into some, marketing automation platform of some kind? Really important that, before you spend any money on any campaigns, you really want to make sure that you have all 3 of these really aligned, put it down on paper, visualize what you're doing. And that goes back to the strategy I'm going to be talking about. We did this. We really were thoughtful of, hey, who we're targeting, how are we going to get them to raise their hand, which we want them to do. And then, based off one aspect of the strategy, which was, sending them to a landing page, we want to make sure that we're getting across to them on that landing page, the value of this product and why they need it to really bring their business to the next level. So when you are thinking about landing pages, whether it's on Facebook, Google, or email, all landing pages and offers are not the same. So something that maybe is working today on Google PPC is not going to work on Facebook. And whether you're emailing somebody, maybe something that's working for cold emailing or emailing your list, that offer and landing page will not work for Facebook. So you gotta be really mindful of the way you have stuff set up on Google, email, and Facebook, and any other platform that you're using. You got to make sure that landing page is designed in a way to really get the most out of that person. Because the big thing with Facebook is that you're constantly competing for people's attentions, and everybody's glued to their phones. I mean, they're literally glued to their phones. I'm sure if you walk around any city, you'll see tons of people in there just glued to their phones. And you have to make sure that you get across quickly and to a point what you want to get across to them on that landing page, because you honestly really have a split second from, when you think about it, think about when you're in your news feed on Facebook, Instagram or whatever, you're looking at something for like a second and it's either going to get your attention or not. And then if you fill out a form, maybe go to a landing page, you're looking pretty much right away, hey, is this value to me or not? And then you're getting off. So make sure that your offers and landing pages really speak to them, because basically something that with like Google and email is that most of the time they already kind of know about you and they don't need as much selling, while Facebook definitely needs more selling, like 100%. So you have to just kind of make sure that you really kind of get that across. So there is definitely this huge misconception that I hear people all the time that I speak to, where they say, hey, B2B is not on Facebook. Business people are not on Facebook. They're just not. The truth is they are, whether you want to admit it or not. And it goes back to the point where everybody is honestly addicted to their devices. And Facebook has their little tentacles, and I like to call them tentacles. They own the mobile web. So essentially they own that, mobile side of things. So they're on Facebook. They're just not on in the general sense that, somebody who's, let's say, just in college is on it. It's a different mindset where these business people tend to not be on during business hours, which makes sense. And they tend to be on later at night. And then there's certain stuff that really kind of speaks to them to get their attention. So if you have something, for example, that's working in the B2C space, good chances it's not going to work in the B2B, because the mentality is a lot different. So you got to go back to what's going to get a business person's attention. What's going to drive that person? Is it something that's going to fix the problem, increase the revenue? Something that I've found is that, business people are in business to make money. So the thing that really resonates to them the most in an ad and a landing page is dollar figures. So typically is it going to fix my problem? Is it going to increase my revenue? If you can get that across to somebody quickly in an ad and then a landing page, they will raise their hand and they'll say, hey, I definitely want more information from you on that. So when you are kind of starting out, whether you have an existing campaign or you're building something out, be really mindful of that to make sure that everything you're building and doing really goes back to that business person. What is making them tick? What is going to make them to want to do X, Y, and Z for you? 99.9% of the time, it goes back to, is it going to fix my problem? Is it going to increase my revenue? If yes, hey, I'm interested. If not, I'm going to go on to the next type of thing. So something that you really got to be mindful of, and at my agency, the thing that we spend most of our time on is definitely on that strategy, where we just put a lot of efforts in. And it goes back to, everybody is on their mobile devices. And when you think of Facebook ads, probably the number one thing that comes to mind is, the news feed. But Facebook is so much more than just that app you see on your phone. It's so much more. As you know, so they own obviously the Facebook app and obviously Facebook.com. They also own Instagram. So your ads will show up on Instagram. They will also show up in Messenger. And probably one of the most underrated aspects of the Facebook ads profile or platform is the audience network. And what that audience network is that, so you go on your phone right now and you go on your favorite news site, you're going to see ads on there. A portion of those ads, I'm not saying every single one, but majority of the big news sites and a lot of smaller ones, a majority of their ad inventory will actually get filled through Facebook, which is the audience network. So when you have the right offer and message, you will literally follow people around the mobile web. And digital advertising today comes down to who can spend the most money and still be profitable is going to win the day, because you have to pound people. And with Facebook, there's honestly nothing like it, because you're able to just, pound people through the entire mobile web. And then the craziest number is that, think about this for a second. 1.6 billion people worldwide are connected to a small business on Facebook. So that goes back to the thing is B2B on Facebook? They are. You just have to go about the way you try to get in front of them a little bit differently. And I got a question from Zach. Do you think Instagram is better to advertise on than Facebook? And should I spend more on one platform over the other? The way at least I go about doing Facebook ads is I'll open my ads to everything. So I'll do Facebook newsfeed, desktop, mobile, Instagram Messenger, and the audience network. My big thing is never write off one of these placements, because once when you start running, you'd be really surprised sometimes where like Instagram will win out and it'll just do better than everything else. Other times it'll be audience network. So even if you have like a winning campaign that has done really well, you want to still test everything and keep testing it. Instagram, we have like a really, I would say, shareable type of image that really stands out. It can do pretty well on Instagram, but there isn't a definitive answer because it varies so much based off of the different product or service. But you definitely will want to be testing on Instagram and Facebook. And the way the Facebook platform works, when you're building a campaign, you have the option of placements. There's almost never a single situation where you want to edit those placements, because the way the algorithm works, by selecting all placements, you're telling Facebook, hey, I want you to go out there. I want you to fight for who I'm targeting to get me the best deal for what my objective is, whether it's Instagram, Messenger, audience network. So I hope that answers your question. If not, we could definitely dig into that a little bit later. So obviously we want to get back to, how are we kind of able to get that 12,280% return? We didn't spend a lot. That's the best part of it. We didn't spend a lot. We spent a little over $5,654 over a 3-month period, but it generated over $700,000 in revenue. And why it did it is, for example, this B2B client was a really high ticket item. Basically, it's like we were targeting Fortune 500 decision makers in their email department. So obviously, whoever was in charge of that, we were targeting them. We needed to get them to raise their hand and say, yes, I'm interested. Because like the existing sales team was trying to for so long, trying to break into this, they never were able to. And as you can see, it generated over $700,000 a year. It was a very high ticket item, where it was a little over like 60 grand a month. So even regardless, even like, let's say you're not as high ticket of an item, this strategy can still work for you. Just happen to have the biggest return because we were really only going after for this entire thing. We want to get 1 or 2 people to sign up for it, because that's all the company could really handle. Onboarding one new client was this huge thing. It took months on end. So that's why you kind of see that. And this is a matter of just going after who we wanted to, knowing what was going to make them tick to raise their hand and say, yes, hey, I'm interested. So what the strategy really comes down to is data, and how you leverage that data. Right now in the news, you probably hear it all the time. Facebook is under a lot of pressure because of the data. About 6-7 months ago, Facebook gave you everything imaginable data-wise to target your individual. They've definitely pulled the curtain out from under that a lot. But for this strategy to really work, especially if you're a high-ticket B2B, you have to have data, because what you're doing is you're essentially going to be remarketing to that database on Facebook and the audience network with these really specific messages to get them to raise their hand. So there's really kind of two ways you can go about getting data. One, you can go out and buy it, or you can go out to there's a lot of data brokers out there like Loginix. There's a lot where you can go out there and say, hey, we sell XYZ and we need to target, this manager in this type of business. And they'll come back and they'll give you the list. And then you kind of use that list to target, which I'll go through on how to set that up. And even another one is like Apollo.io, which they're like a data company. It really comes back to the data. So you can either buy it, which again isn't overly expensive. You can get a really highly targeted contact list for 50 cents a contact. You can maybe even get it less, because the truth is a lot of these data companies, they have the data already. By you not buying it, it's not costing them any money. The only time they're making money is when you buy that data from them. So you have a lot of leeway where if you do go out and negotiate with one of these data brokers, you have a lot of leverage to beat them up on the price. I had one where, they initially were at like $2 a contact, which I was like, no. And I got down to, I think it was maybe like 30 cents or it was like 20 cents or something ridiculous. It was just a matter of just kind of beating them over the course of a week. They would, be like, hey, that's not good enough, and just have them come down. So if you're going to go the route of buying a list, use that to your advantage to get the best deal possible. And another way you can go about it is you can actually build a list yourself through LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a gold mine for B2B data. What I use, and we use that, is automation software. We use something called Meet Leonard, and there's some others out there. Like another one is called Duck Soup. And really what that is, it comes down to is just automating. So you typically need to get Sales Navigator. So that'll be like an $89 a month cost. And then in Sales Navigator, you'll then want to filter in who your ideal customer is, optimize your LinkedIn profile, visit that person, and while you're visiting it, have the software extract their contact information. Some people give it, some people don't. But as a backup of it, you want to then also do automated connection requests. I'm sure if anybody's on here is on LinkedIn, you guys probably get hit up all the time on LinkedIn. There's a reason behind it, because it works. So those people are either one, trying to sell you something right there, which is a majority of them, and they do a bad job, or it's like, you get the connection request and it's like 5 seconds later, hey, click on my Calendly link. No, sorry. But I get hit up with them all the time. I'm sure everybody on here does as well. But once when you do connect with somebody, typically, unless you've gone in and change your privacy settings, your contact information will be free and clear. So if you then use one of these automation softwares to go in, it can then scrape it from the profile, and you could end up with a really good CSV list of tens, 20,000 by just visiting their profiles. And then, obviously the ones that are connected. So there's definitely a lot of areas in that. And I just got a question from Sherry. It says, my audience is different between Facebook and Instagram. My audience on Instagram is a young group, and my Facebook audience is an older group. That's just my personal experience. The one thing that I would say is don't assume that, because at least the thing I've learned over doing this for a long time, an assumption that like, hey, my market is not on Facebook, or my market is dead wrong, because people's taste and styles change quite frequently, where one day they might be on Facebook and the next they might be on Instagram. But if you definitely have definitive data on it, like let's say, a long time ago, you used to be able to use audience insights in Facebook. You can't anymore, but it's going to be harder to say that is a 100% type of thing. So I would definitely go in assuming it's not. And then once you start running ads, you will start to see reporting that comes back on some of that age. And if you're definitely seeing a huge difference in, like your cost per acquisition, then definitely tighten it up. But, kind of with Facebook and Instagram, Instagram tends to be more image heavy to get results, while Facebook definitely kind of goes back to that ad copy. But if I didn't answer that question, when we get to the end, we definitely can dig a bit deeper into that. And then when we're obviously talking about data, and I'm not sure if you guys can see this in full detail, but what I use a lot, see kind of two of these, is data from Oracle. This is kind of data that is no longer freely available on Facebook. Some of this, like Oracle, if you guys aren't aware, obviously they're a huge company, which you've probably heard of, but they're also a huge data broker. And before all this stuff happened in the news with Facebook, they were actually providing, like if you ever were running ads and you saw like income, any stuff like that, it was actually being provided by Oracle. And Oracle is getting paid by Facebook, and Facebook was just reducing your bids by like 10 or 15%. Oracle has a deep data of B2B. And we didn't specifically use this data in detail with this strategy, but if you're going after a B2B, and this is why I wanted to bring it up, you want to test some of these. The one downside of using this data is that, one, you have to sign a contract with Oracle. Like my agency, we have one in place. Number two, there's an additional cost on it. It's anywhere from 10 to 15%, depending on the type of data you want. So like if you look on this, you'll see like premium, which will be the middle column. A premium means that it's 15% of your ad spend, while the standard is 10. I'm actually guessing, I believe all B2B is actually more premium. So the way Oracle actually gets this is they'll mine data with any provider out there. Any stuff you do in the real world, it goes back there. I mean, it's super creepy, but totally awesome as a marketer who wants to target these people. Because, for example, like some of these, like you can target like decision makers of people that bought like communication technologies. Again, it's with this because Oracle is mining your credit card data. And it's not Oracle directly, but everybody shares data. All these big companies share data, and then Oracle kind of crunches it and then packages them into these audiences. And, we use these a lot. But again, it's difficult to get access to them now. It's typically about like a 4 to 6 month waiting period. You have to sign a contract with them. And then the worst part of all is, like, you think Oracle's this huge company. They send you a contract that's, you have to email them back to you. They don't have digital signatures. And then you have to pay them by bank wire once a month. It's like, it's a huge company. You'd think they would have it set up, but they don't. But, if you're obviously in the B2B space and you want to target, Oracle has some great audiences to test. And typically the only people that know about this are obviously very, very savvy marketers. And again, not many know about it. And big companies, I mean, think of like Coca-Cola's of the world, would definitely be using these to a degree. When I've used them, I've had really good success because, especially now with all the changes that have gone on the platform, the stuff that's left within Facebook is all this broad garbage. So you're fighting with just so many other people, hoping that, you're going to target the right person. Well, I really see these audiences as kind of like, you're at a pond that's stocked with fish. Nobody's around you, while everybody else is in that red ocean fighting tooth and nail for, the tiny little fish, where most of the bigger fish are in this type of stuff. And that goes back to, the data, where you want to go out there and get that data from like a data broker, because, hey, this is exactly the people that I want to, target. So when you have that list, so like, let's say you had the Oracle list, it would actually show up under this custom audiences. But this strategy really comes back to where, you're using that data, you're uploading it into Facebook, and you're targeting against it. And that's really where the power comes into, because you're not wasting any ad dollars and you're just getting your message in front of the right people at the right time. And then I got two questions. One from Lauren says, I do an annual wine and food feast. So the budget is slim on Facebook ads. What do you recommend? I would probably recommend you do a geo target around your area and do more broader ads. Typically a video. You want to have a very engaging video that's under about 60 seconds against people that have interest in wine and food festivals. And make sure that with that video, you have a call to action on it, which is, hey, if you have a friend or family member that you know would love this food and wine festival, please share it with them below. And then obviously talk about that in the ad copy. Really important in your ad copy for the wine and food festival, make sure you touch on the location and the date and time. And you want to have a pretty hard ramp up to get people in there. And you'll want to go after the objective called post-page engagement. And then got a question from Gomez. Are you talking about uploading contact lists to Facebook to create a custom audience? Yes, that is what I'm talking about. And it is not against their policy. They are coming out with a policy where they want to be more transparent against it. What is against their policy, which I'll show you the process of uploading it, is if you are not truthful with where you got the data from. So when you have that data and you want to upload it for that custom audience, you're going to go up here, you're going to click audiences in the ad manager. So basically you're going to touch on that. I like to call those 3 lines the hamburger. I kind of looks like a hamburger. So click that and you click audiences. And then you're going to click create audience. And then a custom audience. And actually, just take a step back. You see these ones down here. So if you're able to get access to that Oracle stuff, this is how they actually share them in your account now. So they get all shared as a custom audience. So obviously, so let's obviously get back to it. So obviously, once when we click that create audience, we're going to then select customer file. And then you're going to add customers from your own file or copy and paste them. The most important one will be what you select here. So you see there's 3 different options. And what is going to be happening is that Facebook is now, again, this is what they're claiming they're going to be doing. They're going to fall back on, so if you see an ad, it's going to go back to here where you got the data and obviously your company. So you want to be very truthful on here. So either like you got it directly from the customers and partners, directly from customers or from partners. So if you went out to a data broker and this is pure people you haven't talked to before, you want to put that in, partners. If it's a mix of customers and partners, you want to do that. So again, just be truthful with where you're uploading, because I don't see Facebook not allowing this. The power of Facebook, where you get the most returns, is really doing strategies like this, where you're uploading these custom audiences. So I don't see them getting rid of this, because it'd be the equivalent of them shooting themselves in the foot. They don't want to do it, and they know the data is what has made them the best platform in the world, and that's why you still have access to the Oracle data. That was a big change. So, previously, obviously, you had all that income, and Oracle was providing it. And Facebook, I mean, you think about it, deep down, like, they're a data company. They know, hey, to get our advertisers to get the most return, they need this data. So they did rip it out, but it was still there. It was just a step around, because at the end of the day, Facebook does not want to get regulated, and they're really on the defensive right now. I have a theory that as time goes on, they're going to bring back a lot of this data, because it's just getting really hard for somebody who's not doing this every day, like I do, to be successful with Facebook ads. And they've definitely made it very complicated. I mean, just look at what we're talking about. I mean, you have 3 different options. I mean, you do the wrong one, you're going to get dinged now. So obviously be really, really mindful of that. And then when you have that data uploaded in there, what Facebook is going to do is they're going to actually kind of parse that data. The only 2 that matter when you have somebody's email, when you have their data, is you want their email. A bonus is to have their cell phone. If you do not have that, and let's say you're doing like a B2C campaign, which you might not be aware of this, Like I have some clients that do Amazon sales. So the only thing they get from Amazon is a name and a mailing address. If you actually upload that, first name, last name, and mailing address, city and state, and zip, Facebook will probably match it to, I mean, I've seen it anywhere from 70 to 90%. Think about that for a second. You can upload somebody's name and address, and Facebook is able to match that anywhere from like 70 to 90%. So it goes back to, Facebook is a data company, and they're definitely not going to kind of shoot them in the foot with kind of saying, hey, no, we can't do that. But if you have somebody's email, you want to 100% match it, because that's one of the easiest ones for Facebook to match. And then obviously a cell phone. And then once you have that, when you are building your campaigns, only thing you're really doing is you're going to be going into the targeting, and then you're going to be selecting that audience. Because with this B2B strategy that we used to get these results, and we were targeting Fortune 500 decision makers. So we uploaded that list into Facebook, and we just targeted them, nobody else, with obviously a really specific ad and then a really specific offer. So that way you don't want your dollars wasted anywhere, because, hey, these are the people we need to contact to get our product sold. So the way we set up the campaign, and even if it was any B2B, typically what I do is we obviously upload that list. We have two levels of campaigns. We have a cold and a remarketing. So a cold, that's really anybody that has not interacted with you. And while remarketing, that's somebody that, hey, saw your ads, maybe clicked on it, they went on your landing page, and they didn't convert. You want to pound these people. So on the cold side, I love doing lead ads, especially against a B2B list like this. So lead ads, if you're not familiar, is you see an ad, you click it, and it automatically populates a form, and that form has your information already filled in, and then you click OK. They're only good on Facebook and Instagram. So that's the only place we run that. And then on the cold side, we will run conversion objective ads, but we will send them to a landing page, which I'll show you in a little while. But that landing page will be just on the audience network. So that way, we're hitting that really refined remarketing, target list on Facebook and Instagram with lead ads, knowing that you're going to get a better return on that because it's easier to fill out the form. And then the conversion ads will be that audience network. So the beauty of that is that you're following people on Facebook, Instagram, and then when they get off the platform, you're following them around the entire mobile web. And why Facebook has dominated is because they like literally own the entire mobile web. And Google, they obviously have Google AdWords. Their display network is not very good on mobile, and that's really where they dropped the ball. Where Facebook has just honestly dominated, because your targeting will follow people throughout there. So like if they're opening up on their phone a app of some kind, let's say they're going to play a game, your ad has a really good chance of showing up there. So it goes back to, who's going to win the day in digital marketing today? Who can spend the most money while being profitable? And you got to pound people. You have to just pound them. And the way you get the most return is when you have that really refined list that allows you to just pound these people, day after day after day until they finally raise their hand and say, okay, maybe I should, check these guys out. They're really pounding me with these ads and these messages, and maybe I need to give them a look. And that's definitely what happened with, this. And then typically kind of what we do is on the remarketing side, we won't do any form lead ads, but we'll just send everybody to the landing page. So obviously Facebook, Instagram, audience network, they'll all go to that landing page. And typically what we do in that regard is like if somebody clicked the ad on the lead form and didn't fill it out, we'll then want to add them to a custom audience that'll just be those. And then obviously people that did go to the landing page on the cold side, but didn't fill it out. Those tend to be people that, hey, are definitely interested, especially because they're in your prospect list. You want to be very aggressive with these people because there was some reason why they didn't fill it out. Whether it was just bad timing, maybe they're at home and their kid needed something, so they had to put it down. The point is, where marketing, you have to hit them even harder than you did on the cold side. So what it really came down to, especially with this, is we had one ad that ended up doing very well, and it touched on who we were targeting, which was that email marketer within these Fortune 500 retailers that is already doing e-commerce. And we needed a dollar figure to get their attention, which ended up being about 8.4 million. So this client, their software for one of these case studies, they saw an $8.4 million increase in their email revenue. That's going to get somebody's attention. So even if, let's say, you don't have something like that big, but putting a dollar figure on it will get that business person's attention, because if we go back in the beginning, is it going to solve a problem? Is it going to increase my revenue? If it does, hey, I'm going to be interested. So we really spent a lot of time on this ad copy, and especially this image, to get somebody's attention, because we knew, hey, dollars are going to work, and percentages work. So when you're kind of building stuff out on your own, put a lot of time and effort into it. I mean, when I'm running ads for B2B, I mean, we put a lot of time and effort in. I mean, most of the time, especially in the beginning, is we're really digging deep into, hey, who are we targeting, and how are we going to get them to be interested and want to raise their hand and want to go to the next step. And then finally, when we talk about that landing page, this is what we used. Again, really important was the first thing that they see, because that can get somebody's attention or not, and make them interested in wanting to learn more, which was increase your near-term and long-term revenue with machine learning, email optimization. Like AI is really hot, and businesses know they need to go there, but they don't know how to go there. So we did like a little spit on it with machine learning. And then underneath that, we kind of talked about the 8.4 million in the case study. With the whole goal was to sort of drive people into this little form over here to get their name, email, and phone, even though we already had it. And again, like the sales team was already trying to reach out to these people pretty much every day, but they just weren't returning. So when you think about when somebody fills it out, they're going to want to hear from you. And that really goes back to the whole point of this strategy, which was, we just want to get to the point where we had the people, raise their hand, hey, I want to learn more. And they obviously went more of an effort to, talk to the sales team, which is that's all they needed, was just that foot in the door. Because I'm sure, like, if you guys get, cold calls or cold emails, you're not going to really respond to it. You might, but for the most part, you're not going to. But if you go out and find somebody, you're going to want to talk to them. You're going to give them the chance to sell you on it, because then you went to them. It's a lot different when somebody's coming to you. When you go to them, you're giving them more benefit of the doubt. And that's really what this strategy came down to. And then just the bottom part of the landing page had this. So obviously, because we're going after obviously these enterprise clients, 3 little examples. Obviously, the 2.3% overall revenue lift doesn't sound like a lot, but to a company that's doing a couple $100 million a year, that's significant revenue. And then obviously, retailer B, $325,000 revenue increase in the first month. I mean, that's serious money. And obviously a 10% increase in email revenue. Again, serious money. So what we obviously did after this, they filled it out either on the lead form or through this landing page. Just let the sales team kind of take it over from there. And a strategy that you can do, especially if you have a very long-term selling process, like these guys did as well, where if I was going to do it over for them, once when we got that lead, I would have followed up those people that filled out the form, on both of these forms. What I would do now is I would enter them into a video funnel on Facebook. So pretty much everybody that filled out the lead form ad and filled this other form, I would add them into pretty much think of like maybe an indoctrination, where you would need to have videos that really show the value of your product or service, how it's delivering value. Maybe you have the salespeople in the video as well, and just pound them with these. And typically, what we do now, it's a different type of strategy, but it's one that kind of works in that where you have video one, which tends to be about a 5-minute video, and then everybody that watches, because again, it's gonna be a small amount. You want to do everybody to watch like 25%. You then show them video number 2, which would then be about a little bit short, about 3 minutes, and then finally another video, which would be a lot shorter, which would be maybe like 1 minute. So just saying, hey, anything I can help you with. Just the name of the game with digital today is just pounding people with your product or message as much as possible, especially when it's a really refined list. And Gomez just asked a question. What was the landing page lead acquisition rate, if you can share it? It was about, because we were going after a really precise group. I mean, I believe it was about $150 per lead, which is a lot, but in the realm of things, when it's generating over $700,000 in revenue over the lifetime, it's well worth it. Like our list that we actually uploaded and used for this strategy had about 10,000 people in it. So it wasn't big. And you saw we didn't spend a lot of money because we didn't really need to. Because especially with this product, it was like once you got this retailer, they weren't going anywhere because it was very integrated into their system. But even if you don't have something like that, it goes back to like how much margin there is in it. So that's really kind of where that comes in. So kind of at this point, just wanted to open up to any questions anybody has. And then while you guys are maybe thinking of some questions, I did want to offer, if anybody was interested, they could apply for a free strategy call. It'll be me, and we'll obviously talk about your product and service and what I would do if I were you today. So I'll put that in a pop-up right now. So if you're interested in it, definitely just click that and fill it out, and then we can kind of go from there. Or you can just go to brkal.com/call. So anybody got any questions, whether it's about this strategy for B2B or B2C? And like I said, there's no stupid question, which there really isn't, because the truth is Facebook is beyond complicated. You think like engineers built this, they think it's so easy, but I mean, look at it. There's like 10 different objectives, and if you have the wrong objective, you're not going to get results with Facebook ads. So Zach asks, can I get good leads with a small budget? Like, what is the minimum? You definitely can. So if you have let's say you don't have a refined list where you want to targeting against, and you're opening it up, I mean, you definitely can. You probably want to have a minimum of a couple $100 to run with, because especially if you haven't ran ads in the past, you're going to need to test a few different ad creatives to get an idea of what's going to resonate with who you're going after to start getting results. So there really isn't a minimum. I mean, like realtors, for example, like they can just spend $100 and possibly get some good leads. But it goes back to, you got to make sure you're targeting the right person, and then you got to have an ad that gets them excited, because at the end of the day, you're fighting for people's attention. Whether it's like kids' photos, some cat doing something funny, why are they going to click on yours over this other stuff? Because we live in an instant gratification society right now. So you got to make sure that you really think deeply about who you're going after and what's going to drive them to want to interact with your ad. And Zach asks, do you recommend video over photos? And is there any online tools to use to create videos without a huge price tag? So, yeah. So, I've found obviously videos do a lot better. And the more personal videos, which you might be surprised, do the best. You don't need this highly edited video. The ones that I've seen do the best have been videos that were shot with an iPhone. Like I have a personal funnel that I run some Facebook ads for, and it's just me with an iPhone talking, and it gets the most, kind of bang on it, as you can imagine. And then there are definitely some services out there. Like I've used some called like Lumen 5. Check out Lumen 5. That's really cheap to do it. Another one is Design Wizard. Those are two that I have used. And then there's another one on like the iPhone, because I'm sure you've probably seen the ones where they have the headers at the top. It's called, I believe it's called InShot. Yeah, it's InShot. That's just an app that you can get on your phone. But typically, like, just be personal, be real. Because at the end of the day, we're all people. We want to interact with people, even though we're on social media. And that's why those type of videos do the best. But if you're talking pictures, I have found B2B, more personal pictures actually do better with engagement. And I'm starting to see that a lot more. Whether it's pictures of you and your family, you out and about, you and your kids, they seem to be getting a lot more engagement, which is definitely pretty interesting, which goes back to the point where, hey, everybody is a person, and you want to connect with one another. And, social media has definitely, I feel like, disconnected people from the world, but deep down inside, we want that connection. So, definitely think about, doing ads like that. And then Ben asked, how about service to sell rather than a product? I think I got, so like, service-based businesses can definitely excel with Facebook ads. It tends to be a different type of strategy, depending on what service it is. Let's say you're an HVAC company. I mean, you're not going to go on Facebook when your AC breaks. So what you're going to use Facebook for in that regard is more branding throughout the year. Make sure that you rank pretty high organically. So that way when somebody does a search and they see your name, they're not going to remember where they remember it. But it'll be back in their mind, so they might, click and give you a call over somebody else. And and Lauren asked, obviously goes back to that fest. She said it's August the 10th to 11th. So when should I start geo ads? I would probably do it a lot closer. If you know people from like out of the area come, start targeting them in probably early June. And then as you get closer to the event, that's when you want to do a really more tighted, geo-targeted, campaign, and definitely do, video more. And John asks, any advice for a voiceover business? If it's like B2B and you're trying to sell kind of voiceovers, probably a good strategy is actually go out and see who has bought these type of videos in the past, and then try to find them on LinkedIn. And what you could do, if you can get it to about 100 contacts in there, you could upload that into Facebook as a custom audience and then create a lookalike. And then what that lookalike is that's like an amplification. So Facebook will look at that initial like 100, and then they'll say, okay, in the population out there, how many people are similar to this based off of a percentage? So it's kind of like cloning the initial set of people to find you new customers. So that's what I would recommend you do for the voiceover business. Facebook ads definitely could work. There's no reason why they wouldn't, because probably for you, the name of the game is get people on the phone and talk to them about your voiceover service. So it's just a matter of just having your ad show up in those right people who are those decision makers. And the best way to do that is through, again, like go on LinkedIn, find those people who are those decision makers that probably made that decision to buy that voiceover, get to about 100, upload that, and then do a lookalike. And Ben, you asked about like, what do you recommend? It seems like if there's a difference between a product or a service. I've seen both do really well, to be honest. So it really goes back to, Facebook is in the ad platform. It's just a tool to drive people to your business. If you have a service-based business that is more like something breaks, I need it now, I need it fixed immediately, they're going to go to Google, but use Facebook really more for that branding. But if you're, have a product, Facebook can do really, really well. I mean, just think about, like, I helped a client sell kitchen cabinets of all things online, which is a really weird thing to sell online, and they killed it. I mean, $500,000 and 14,000 ad spend. I mean, that's a crazy return. And it goes back to show you just the power of Facebook. And remember, it wasn't overnight. And especially like we're talking about like the 12,280% ROI, there was a little ramp up in that. I knew the strategy going in that had a good chance. But we didn't get that really good lead until that month 3. The big thing with Facebook is that you know it takes a lot of testing, and it's not an instant type of thing to get results. So Zach asks, the more target specific you get, does Facebook charge more on the ads? It definitely can. So think of the platform as really like a living, breathing market, where you have buyers and sellers, where the buyers are you going in and buying the ads, and then the sellers are the eyeballs. So if you go to a more refined list where it's pretty small, as opposed to a more broader one, it's going to cost you more to target these people because you're going after a really specific group of people. So for you to show up for what you're saying you want to spend, Facebook is going to have to up its bid. Think about, like, if you want a stock really badly and it's starting to go up, like like what happened with Bitcoin, or everybody says buying it, buying it, buying it, buying it, buying it. There's really no sellers, and the sellers in this case would be eyeballs. So your price definitely will go up because there's only so many eyeballs going in there, and people are gonna want to be gonna want their ad to show up in front of them as well.